Good evening.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
We are
Hello.
on the Inmates Facebook page. We are inmates. We are confined. We are here.
Yes.
We are stuck in this construct of Facebook. And we've chosen to be here because we've logged in.
Yes.
Either with our own data, with our own airtime, with our stolen Wi-Fi passwords, whatever it may be, but we are here.
Yes.
And it's very curious to actually find out, like, how much are we caged? How much are we imprisoned? You know, whether we're imprisoned in our bodies, or we're imprisoned in this world, or we're imprisoned in our situations, right? So I'm going to speak to the inmates today. My name is Nosana Sondiyazi, and
hello, Nosana.
Very curious about these inmates.
All right.
Who are they? Where do they come from? What are they doing, right? So we've got the two inmates. One is smoking ikotli pa. Yeah, Gonda. Tell us who you are.
All right. Hello, Nosana.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, Ted. Hello, Mulabuhan. Yes. Okay. I am Lindiwe Bakaka. I am a creative teacher. I use whatever I can comprehend and understand to teach what I feel I need to teach.
Oh!
Yes. Now go. Could you know?
Oh, there we go. All right.
Yes. I don't know what else you want to know.
Where does your information come from? Is it channeled from the roots, from the ground, from the heavens, from the stars? Where does your information come from?
It purely comes from my experience.
Oh.
That's the only thing I can trust, because even to myself, I can't lie about it.
Whoa.
Yes, so yes, that's where my information comes from.
You sound like a poet. You sound like a poet. All right.
Okay.
Back to you. Mlebuheng, hi.
Hi, I am Mlebuheng.
Yes.
My surname is Murakabi. And yeah, I don't know what more I can say. I just what would you want to know? I don't know.
Who you are? How are you an inmate? And what are we going to be finding out about you in this interview?
How am I an inmate? I guess now I can say that in the confines, I'm in the confines of my own body, my mind. Yeah, and what was the other question? I don't remember the other question.
All right, no, we'll come back. Tad, these are the inmates. Tell me about them, please. They have not told us much. It's all very mysterious.
Well, but what I'm saying is realistic.
My name is Tad Mafata. I am a creative. I'm a conceptualist. I love fashion. I love creating basically content, you know, especially in using art as a form of communication. Well, I answer your question, really. I don't think I'm going to really answer it, because I'm just going to say to you that each inmate that is in a certain prison, if you might call it, is there for the reasons that they know. So each one of us will have to tell you what they in for.
My goodness, this is all very cryptic, very, you know, I feel like I'm in a Da Vinci Code of some kind, right? But okay, guys. this is for me a very important interview because I have known you both for some time. Both you, Mleboheng and Lindiwe, I respect you both as creatives and thinkers. And if you have a production, if you have a theater production, I'm very curious about it. But I also know that you contacted me because next week on the 17th of May,
yes,
National Day of Transphobia, Biphobia, and you guys wanted us to have a conversation. So let's start there. Why is that day important to you?
Okay, you wanna go first, man?
Yeah, for me, that day is important to me as a Black homosexual woman. It's very important because it recognizes homophobia, biphobia, all these kinds of phobias. And it is something that I could say that I experience on a daily basis, or multiple times in a year, you know, and it is something that can happen to me only on the grounds that I'm in a same-sex relationship. So it's sort of I appreciate that there's such a day, you know, where it's recognized, because somehow it seems like something that's not recognized, like around people are not sensitive of homophobia, and it's so easy for people to just question you about your sexuality if they see you as not a straight person, you know. So it's very important to me because it could happen to me, and also it's in memory of those who did die from homophobic attacks, you know. And I guess the fight continues, you know, but we should make people aware about homophobia, transphobia, biphobia, and all these I would say queer phobias that exist.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So yes, Lindiwe, next
Yes.
it's International Day against transphobia, biphobia. So why is it important for us to address this day and contribute to the content against it?
I think it's important because you see this phobia that lives in people. Is very dangerous because for a long time, I personally now I personally invested time in homophobia only, but in me there was also biphobia. I was biphobic, you know, but until I realized why, and until I understood why I was biphobic, that assisted me to conquer the phobia. So that to me says it's important for people to know where the phobia comes from, because that is the only way all this violence can subside, if people conquer the phobia. Yes.
All right. But yes. As creatives, sorry, Ted, I don't want to leave you out. You know what we're discussing. We're talking about the International Day against transphobia and biphobia. Have you also got your own interest in that day and what you want to contribute with the conversation about, like, what needs to be addressed and what needs to be highlighted?
Yes. Well, it's mostly important that we educate people, because we cannot deny the fact that we have been raised in a society that believes in heterosexuality more than anything, especially when it comes to the teachings of gender and gender roles. So I think on this day, next week on the 17th, it's very important that people are educated on, because we also have to unlearn those norms that we have been taught, you know, the norms of gender and what a woman is, or what a man is, and you know, what our roles, what are our roles in the society. We need to unlearn those so that we're able to learn what is it that to learn that actually sexuality is very fluid, and well, there's more to a human being than what we are taught by principle. And also, the truth is, throughout this fight against homophobia, transphobia, biphobia, and all these other phobias that are formed against people of the queer society, basically, we have to acknowledge the fact that human lives are involved. And in as much as we make these rules as human beings to be able to live, or cultures and whatnot, the truth is, in as much as we preach the principle of Ubuntu, we also need to address what we acknowledge as diversity, because you find we live in a society where a straight woman would fight for her rights as a woman, you know. We talk about feminism and inclusivity, but as straight women, when we fight, we always, well, I'm not a straight woman, but I'm going to say as women, mostly when we fight, when we fight for our rights, we usually, in most cases, I've realized, we exclude people. That's where the question of diversity comes in, to say, for it to say there's justice served to a certain group of people, who are we excluding? I think that's the main question we need to ask on this day, to say, who are we excluding? Because even within the LGBTQIA community, you find that trans women and trans men, I've heard this from a lot of people, a lot of trans people that I've had encounters with. They always say, it doesn't matter whether you're straight, gay, lesbian, or bi. You all think that we have mental issues for being trans, just for being trans. So who are we excluding? Am I fighting for my right as a bisexual woman to be included within the society and recognized as a valid human being and a complete human being, just as I am, only to exclude a trans woman and a gay man or a gay woman or anybody else within the whole sexual spectrum? I think that is the main question that needs to be asked. What is diversity? And for us to accept this diversity we think that we accept, who are we excluding?
All right. You know, I love how careful we are being around the subject, but I would like us to put our feet in the mud and to kind of get our own opinions involved when it comes to some of the solutions, right? Because we can't constantly be asking questions to people that aren't here to answer. We need to ask ourselves the questions that we can assist to answer, right? So you compiled some questions. The inmates compiled some questions that they're asking society to answer. So I'm going to ask you these questions, and I will also share my thoughts, you know, where I can in terms of these questions. But the first one is, how important is the body in this current existence on Earth right now? How important is the body in this current existence on the Earth right now?
Yes.
I don't know what, because I mean, if you can't ask that to somebody else before you can answer that.
You can answer it, yes.
Okay. Now, all right. How important is the body in this current existence on Earth right now?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm right now on Earth. our bodies now. I'm talking to us as human beings. I'm not talking about the plants and the other animals. I'm talking about human beings, right? Well, I will come back to the other existences in body form, because there are also existences in body form. But right now, I'm talking to the human body. That's how it's the body. It is important currently amongst the many other existences, which are our mentalities, our minds, and also our, what we can package as our spirituality that comes, and that is different realms of existence as far as the human body can reach. That's, the body is very important, because without the body, then you don't have an earthly experience. You need the body for the earthly experience. So that's how important it is on earth right now.
Is that your answer? That the body is important because we are on earth? If we were in heaven or in another planet, the body wouldn't be important. Is that what you said?
Yes. If we were in heaven, the body wouldn't be important, because there we are souls. But here we are humans. So you are only here because you have a human body. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't be here. That's why it's important here for existence.
All right. Would anyone else like to answer that question? How important is the body in this existence, in the earth?
I would say, because the only place, as far as we know, that where life exists is on Earth. I think that says quite a lot about your existence, because we don't know of any other, if there is any other kinds of existences that are found out there. So we are only exposed to this existence that we have right now, you know. So I think the importance of the body, you know, in this current existence is doing exactly that, being, you know, who you are, what you are, whatever you express as something that maybe is inside of you. I think our bodies are important to express, to evolve, to move time, so that it goes from one era to another. So I think for me, that's the importance of the body on this earth. I mean, in this current existence on earth right now.
Hey, if you lost off Finansika, how would your Ted?
What I have to say about the importance
big
of the body on earth.
Is that a question? The question is,
sorry?
Let me restate again. How important is the body in this current existence on earth right now?
This current existence.
Yes. How important is the body in this current existence on earth right now?
Well, I'm going to talk about the body and the society's perception of the body in this current existence of on earth right now. Yeah. Well, we live in a society of beauty standards, of healthcare. We live in a society of identification and basically judgment. And I guess we judge only because we
lost.
All right. I would like to add my thoughts on the importance of the body on earth right now.
Yes.
The body is mortal, the body is fragile in terms of its health and its capacity to hold life emotionally and physically. And the body is important on this current experience on Earth. And I think if we don't value and treasure and optimize that experience, then we are failing our experience inhabiting our human instruments. I call my body an instrument because I don't believe I just live or exist or survive. I perform, I exude, I use my body as an example and as an inspiration and as a proper, like, full-on example of like what's possible, you know. So when you don't use your body for what is possible, you are not using your capability.
Yeah.
All right. And I love that question, because we are mortals, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't remember. We may have thoughts and beliefs of lives and past lives and many lives, but we remember one, you know, and we remember only this one. So when we make decisions based on when we make decisions based on that will be forgiven after this life, or that we've made decisions in previous lives, then we're not honoring this life, and we're using.
We are not
in this life.
We are not. we are being lazy.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next.
With a body on earth right now.
And the body has form, you know, the form that we carry. Without going into sexualities and race and other divisions within, like, being classified as human beings. It was very interesting for me to learn when I was studying Vedic philosophy that form is a very powerful existence, because we exist in 3D form. There is 2D form. Ne?
Yes.
And the 2D form is a playing card.
Yes.
Ne? I've got a playing cards here actually that I want to show you. Like playing cards, ne? This is it's only got a back and a front. Ne?
Yes.
Yeah. Tina, we are not 2D. So you can imagine if we were existing in 2D, that would only have a back and the front. We don't only have a back and a front. We've got an up and a down. We've got
sideways.
Yeah. You know. So if there was existence in a 2D life that was conscious, we
would understand that why it's limited to homosexuality and heterosexuality only.
Don't jump topics.
Okay.
Yeah. So this for me, 2D existence is very much about a binary understanding that there's only opposites, that there's only duality, that there's only you know. So yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you for allowing me to contribute. And then also we have the next question. What is your personal definition of woman and man?
Wait, you skipped the question.
Also, the second question is it fair to socialize people according to their anatomy?
It speaks to what you were just saying just now.
Yeah, is it fair to socialize people according to their anatomy?
No, I don't think it's fair. It's
a very advanced question, because can I just break down the question a little bit? Because what does it mean when you socialize people, and what does it mean according to their anatomy? Because our anatomy is not just our sex. Our anatomy is a bit more complex than our sex. I don't think we are being socialized according to whether we've got an arm or a heart or intestines.
We are. We actually are. We actually are, because amongst us, we have people without limbs and they feel disabled. And we say they are disabled. Because they are not able to do what a person with a limb can do.
Wonderful.
So we actually are.
Hey, yes. So this question was intentionally drafted in this manner.
Yeah.
fantastic. I get pendula genanziga. Is it fair to socialize people according to their anatomy?
No, because we have so many abilities. That's what I'm trying to say, that we are here to explore. We're not here to abide by a certain way of thinking and continue what was established before. We are here to move things as people. So I think when we socialize, when we get socialized, or when we socialize people according to how their bodies are formed, it's discrimination. It's teaching discrimination from the get-go. We are teaching to limit children, or limit our existence to a certain probably a drop of the ocean even, and we just explore that drop, and the rest we leave to who, so I think it's not fair in that regard, because it limits our thinking, it limits our abilities, it limits us from exploring what more we're capable of than just this, what we have and what we don't have.
It speaks exactly to this meme that I saw of about 5 different types of animals. I think there was a monkey and a fish and a lion and I don't know what else, and they all had to climb a tree, and that kind of speaks to a socialization, that there's certain requirements that make you pass standards that are not good for your abilities, so that's so important that you mentioned that, especially within the LGBTI community, that we have often been accused of expressing our diversity specific to our sexual orientation and gender, when we are grouping a bigger diversity with disability and other things, and economic and socioeconomic diversity. So it's brilliant that you're bringing this up, right? Taz, I think you and I should actually only come in here and there, because I would very much like the inmates to answer like most of these questions. And of course, we between you and I, if you guys would like us to kind of share an opinion, then we will. But this is what we were discussing, that is it fair to socialize people according to their anatomy? And I had my limited view already. I was already saying this a limited question, but they had already opened it up to all anatomy, not just genitals and things like that, which is very brilliant that is diverse, right? But I would like to immediately jump into, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Did you want to say?
Yes, I just want to immediately please jump into the question of what is your personal definition of a man, woman?
Okay.
Lebo, please answer that first. Like, what is your personal definition of man?
My definition of a woman.
Yes.
The definitions, I guess, wouldn't really much differ. The common thing that both women and men have in common is that they are human, and what just makes us, what separates us is our genitals. I guess we have very different forms of bodily expression. That's the only difference I'd say there is. A definition of a woman, I would say that it's, I guess, somebody who is honest to themselves and appreciates who they are. And I think even the same applies to a man, that it's somebody who is honest to themselves, appreciates who they are, loves themselves, and acknowledges themselves. I think that's what a man and a woman, and they don't acknowledge themselves because this is, for example, let's say in a household, you you are more important because you have these kinds of genitals. No, I'm not talking about that kind of acknowledgement. I'm talking about the fact that they acknowledge that they are human, they have feelings, and they go through a lot of emotions, and they acknowledge those emotions, they acknowledge those feelings, they acknowledge their thoughts, and they acknowledge themselves in an entirety as a human being, as somebody who is also breathing like other people, you know. I think that's my definition of a man and a woman. Yeah, they both acknowledge themselves. That's it. Yeah.
To summarize, Leboheng said there's no difference between a man and a woman.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Lindy.
A man and a woman. You know what? My definition of a man and a woman is that, firstly, they are both ideas. A woman is an idea of the submissive and nurturer, and a man is an idea of a protector and a provider. But actually, that is one human being. So that's my definition. My definition is that they are an idea to divide a human being into two existences. Yeah.
You're muted.
Oh, I love it. I love this idea. I love it. Tats, give us your definition of a man and a woman, please. We're on top of it right now.
A man and a woman are human beings. Like Lebu said, the only difference is their genitalia. And for me, honestly, they are nothing but just human beings who are aware of their emotions, their thoughts, and their dreams and goals. I cannot define a woman for someone because we're different in who we are, in as much in our bodies, because what makes you a woman is not only what you look like, but what you believe and what you do. Basically, what you believe and what you value is what makes you a woman. And as a man, what you believe and what you value makes you a man. But I believe that both men and a woman are only human beings. That's actually.
Yeah.
Nosana,
can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say something?
Yeah.
Oh, and I just wanted to say, even if I do have a definition, it's my definition of a woman, because it has just reminded me that actually, even as different women, we don't really see things the same. It doesn't mean just because we are women now we understand, and now we are the same, exactly the same way, you know, like all women are like this, you know. So that's another thing, is that we are also different as women. We have vibrant women, we have quiet women, we have social women, you know, we have all kinds of different women. So even the same with men, we have all kinds of, like, it's not just one definition of what a man is. It's a lot of people, and you know, we are different.
Yeah. So with that being said, I would like to just say that it's safe, I guess, to say that there isn't what's the word? There isn't an exact definition of what a woman or a man is, because we believe and value different things as human beings. And of course, we have if for lack of a better word, societal definition of what a man is and what a woman is. And I think I agree with Lindy when she says that we are one thing. It's just that society has found a way to divide this one thing into two. But I don't know if to say that it is unfortunate or fortunate that we have these definitions of what a man is and what a man is, and what a woman is. To say a woman is a nurturer and a man is a provider and a protector. I don't know if it's because it works for a certain person and it doesn't work for me, but I'm not going to say that it is the best thing because it doesn't work for me, but it works for the next person.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some Ted's mentioned Ubuntu, ne? And Molebuhen mentioned moving time as human beings, the importance of existence right now on earth is moving time forward. I believe I know. Yes. In fact, I think I believe I know that. that it is Ubuntu that is going to move time forward. But Ubuntu is human beings, it's Homo sapiens, Ubuntu. And I feel that being a man and a woman, then they disturb the process of Ubuntu because we forget to then look at the human and we focus on the man and the woman because we would rather say, we would rather recite things like a woman doesn't do this, a woman doesn't do this, a man doesn't do this, a man doesn't do this, a woman does this, a woman does this, a man does this. But instead of reciting what Ubuntu is as a human being, what a human does not do this, a human does this, a human is this, a human is not that. And it takes away from that, and it's wasting time.
Yeah. So the summary, according to how I'm receiving you, Lindiwe, is that distinguishing the differences between a man and a woman disturbs the balance of humanity. Separates men and women. It separates the balance of humanity. Because if we need to separate a man from a woman, we remove humanity. Am I right?
Yes.
What you're saying?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to move on.
All right.
My comment also summarizing. Okay.
Don't you want to answer that question?
The question of what do you think, what is my personal definition of a man and a woman?
Yes.
Because we're talking about gender is mental, né? But even that is a construct that has been taught to us that we feel like we need to fit into. So I love it, Linda, I agree with you when you say it's an idea, right? Because gender roles, if they're supposed to be in balance, we know that in society, in homes, within our lives, that we've often had to play both roles when it comes to the roles that you play as provider, as nurturer, as thinker, as problem solver, as all those things. So I think what I'd like to say about that is that there's not only two genders, there's not only two sexes, there's a sex missing in terms of this conversation, and that is the intersex, which is an ambiguous gender, which is encompassing both sexes. It's a hidden sex that has never really been able to be defined as a role because it's been suppressed. And it's unfortunate because those have also been forced into playing a particular role. And I think a balanced human being is a human being that encompasses both masculinity and femininity in terms of the intelligence and the capabilities in life.
Yeah, and it evolves with time. It evolves, like it's if today a human does this or is capable of this, 100 years later it's something different because even our environment is constantly changing. It doesn't stay the same. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when we think of how certain sexes have been forced to do certain things in different times, we don't know what is the future. You know, I watch a lot of sci-fi, and in some of the sci-fis that I'm watching, biology isn't what's going to make like children. You know, like there's technology that's going to be able to create new life and things like that. So it removes the
and we can control the rate of reproduction.
Yeah. So yeah, you just wonder which gender influenced that technology again, you know, because it was women that did that.
Yes.
All right. So what role does pictures play in the mental and spiritual state of a human being? Pictures, do they play a role in the
you keep skipping questions, Nosana. Yeah.
All right. Do you think sexuality can sufficiently define a human being?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
All right.
Nah.
So your sexuality is your sexual orientation.
Isn't it the way you express yourself sexually? Maybe who you prefer to sleep with, what you prefer to do sexually.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Like that. Like it removes everything else that you do in your life. Like that is supposed to.
Yes, it's only about this part of your life, you know. So no, I don't think it can sufficiently define a human being. I think there's a lot more to what a human being can do and is, you know, and sexuality is just like one of those things. It's just one of those things, and it is even so policed. Like I think, where maybe we were watching a movie. I think it's a movie of I think it was set in around the 1700s or something, 1800s. Yes, in America, these two women had husbands, you know, and they happened to have an affair, you know, and so the affair though did not start with them kissing and doing the things, you know. They sparked some kind of intellectual interest with each other. There was some kind of connection between them other than sexually, and they had never even thought of being together as women, like sexually, you know. But because they didn't know, they really were just having this relationship as Mamang and Mamang's wives, you know, and it ended up that they got in a relationship and they acknowledged that there's something happening that's more than just friendship or neighborhood, you know, because they were connecting in other ways, you know, like intellectually. Yeah, and I think that's the one part of the human being that we miss in the society. We keep missing. Hey, you know, our brains are capable of so much.
To first be attracted physically to people. Meantime, physically isn't the only form of
way.
Yes. Like I'm gonna be personal about this.
Okay.
Now how I, because actually what we do is that we attach sexuality to even our future partners, like our choice of our future partners. We do that, and that is also not fair, because me, how Molebuheng and I happened, I say it started in a club and in a vision here and a wonder and a yeah, you know, I say that. I say that. But when I look into things, we had interactions before. And in those interactions, we were very territorial of each other, but even passively. Do you understand? And that also it completes the attraction. You see, it does not only center the attraction on one thing.
Yeah.
And it makes it make sense why even that what I think is happened.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense why it happened.
Yeah.
Because another thing, but I understand why we would center life around sexuality, because we are orgasmatic. But it is not only through sex that we can reach orgasms. You see, now when we, and the thing is, the reason we also obsess about orgasms is that we feel like life makes sense when we orgasm. But imagine now if life makes sense in all the other orgasmatic experiences out there besides sexually. Imagine how much of life we can access.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know how an orgasm is achieved?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know that an orgasm is achieved through sex, but I'm just want to break it down that an orgasm is when 3 or more senses are stimulated at the same time.
Yes.
Right? So it is, you can't just find somebody attractive physically. More senses have to be stimulated. They have to smell good or feel good or sound good. You know, we've got 5 senses that we utilize, right? So if we activate 3 or more, we are getting an orgasm. I like how you sound. I like how you feel. I like how you look. That is instantly going to create an orgasm. And if you look at just those 3 senses, sex doesn't need to be happening for that. So I concur with you there. Right. Ted, it's in the question. It's in the question.
Do you think sexuality can sufficiently define a human being?
Yeah.
Sufficiently. Wow. Well, sufficiently means completely, right?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean completely. Yeah. It means
enough.
More than 50%. I'm not sure what is the pass mark for sufficient. Well,
firstly, I don't believe it can define a human being enough, because that is just, well, you've already dissected it and you've explained, Jorge, how do you reach an orgasm? So I don't believe that it can sufficiently define a human being. Yes, it's one part of us that has been demonized, because, well, not necessarily demonized, but it's kind of shameful to speak about sex or experience, or speak about your sexual experiences, or basically just being a sexual human being. You know, I think as a society we have kind of tried to separate ourselves as sexual beings and us being human beings. It's like when you as a human being, you can be a person and somebody else with a certain sexuality, which is not, it's very nonsensical, because as a human being, that's the other aspect of you. But there are other things about you. You know, you are a thinking human being, you are an able human being, you are
loving, you can love, you can
a being at the end of the day. So yeah, we can do so many things, how we express ourselves sexually. So I don't believe that's it for us. I don't believe sexuality is what sufficiently defines a human being.
Thank you.
Because, like I said, sexuality is very fluid. Anyone can be or can identify in a certain way, or with a certain sexuality, and within the same sexuality, you can find that people have different preferences. So your preferences sexually, or how you identify yourself as a sexual being, have very little to do with who you are holistically as a human being. So I don't believe that sexuality can sufficiently define a human being. It is, I don't want to name it a small part of being a human being, but it's just a part of you as a human being.
Yeah.
Because we have morals, and we might say your sexuality is wrong and the other person's sexuality is wrong and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's part of you, but it's not what defines you. Because you said yourself that to reach an orgasm, there has to be so many senses that are triggered or activated at that time. But also to relate to a person as a friend, you can relate to a person as a friend with the same senses activated, or even more. You can relate to a person as a colleague. You can relate to a person as an artist in J, just because you love their artwork. Or you can relate to somebody as just someone. We've had encounters with people that we've met for the first time, and it was so interesting and so wonderful. Like I know that I've had some of the best times of my life with people that I've never met before. So without even knowing what their sexual orientation, sexual preferences, or sexuality, or whatever they are, without even knowing what they've gone through in the past. So your sexuality is just a very mere part of who you are and what you are as a person. Yeah, that's it for me.
No, and I think it's so sad that we've limited attraction to sexuality also, because
it's so sad.
Because
Very
you can be totally enamored with somebody and you can completely adore somebody, or you can, all of these words for love that exist that we've totally either classified as either platonic or sexual. And it's so sad because now it means that it's either I want to have sex with you or I want to be your friend, but there's so many ways in which I can appreciate you, which is why we have sex, right? So this is where it's disturbing when it comes to our choices in engaging with each other as human beings, right?
That's why we have all these phobias, because we believe that.
Yeah, that's why they have phobias, because it's either I want to have sex with you or I don't. There's no other way. That's the tragedy, because now I'm limiting my appreciation of you to whether I want to have sex with you or not. Like there's so many things.
How absurd!
With you, I want to work with you. I want to learn from you. I want
so many things.
I want to take pictures with you. I want to do math with you. I want to take with you. Those have got nothing to do with sex with you. And now all of a sudden, those things are eliminated. It is infuriating, actually, right?
Yes. And then you meet somebody, you actually meet somebody who actually wants to take pictures of you. But those emotions and those whatevers that happen in them inform them that it is about sex.
Oh, yeah. There's no other space for it. It's either, and why, I mean, there was once about 10 or 20 years ago where there was a fluidity between friendship and like friends with benefits. How is it to be somebody that is your friend and that you also want to have sex with? And for me, I just want to say that what hurt me when I used to ask this question is that some of my male friends, they would say, no, I don't want to have sex with them. I respect them too much. And I was hurt by that statement because I was like, why would you want to have sex with somebody you don't respect? You know, why does sex diminish the relationship? And why is friendship so good without sex? Why is there this contradiction between sex and friendship, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's where the demonization of sex as an activity comes in. To say, in as much as like it's considered to be a sacred activity that you're doing for I don't know what, but it's some kind of I don't know. It's like a not even a diamond because yeah, well, it's like a diamond because not everybody can have a diamond and have money or have money to buy a diamond. It's like certain people are supposed to have sex and certain people are not supposed to have sex, or this is how it's supposed to happen, you know. I guess because of the principles that we've put in place with regards to sex and sexuality or sexual preference or any topic with regards to that, it's very like le batho ba baholo would tell you ho sketsa ntho tse snacks. So you can only do ntho tse snacks with people that you don't respect. You know, it's one of those. It's very scary. Like it's very scary. So it kind of like when Nosana mentioned that this person said, "I'm not gonna have sex with this friend of mine because I respect her that much." So are you approaching a woman, or are you agreeing to yeah, are you agreeing to have a sexual encounter with a man, or are you approaching a woman or proposing sex to a woman because you don't respect them? Are you sexually attracted to somebody because you don't respect them? I kind of feel like it says something about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think again on the fact that sexuality is fluid, you know, I think even as a human being, like you cannot be sexually expressive the same way. I think we miss that. I think when speaking to homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia, you will find that people will have really authentic connections with the same-sex people, and when they feel like they are getting close with this person, they start feeling like there's some kind of butterflies going on, or some chemistry happening between them. And the homophobia or the transphobia is, it's like you see how we have been socialized as boys and girls, you know, and with girls we are also, there's also this thing that this competition that we are groomed even to have between women, that it's either you're fighting for I don't know, you don't get along for some reason for a man or something like, and then I think that also because I'd like to just put it this way, like as women, we I think because of homophobia, we are afraid to even become close as people, just as human beings. We are afraid to embrace each other. We're afraid to love one another because we are afraid that it will become I don't know, it will become sexual, because we are programmed to think that the only way you can express love to somebody is sexually, is when you perform sexual things to them, then it means you love them, you know. I think then it just comes from a messed up way of how we were taught love, you know. We were taught love from a sexual point of view, you know, not from an authentic kind of view, an innocent type of view, because you can be close with somebody, but fearing that something more than that would happen between you guys, or not even talking about it, or what is going on between us. And it doesn't have to go the sexual route all the time. Like, it doesn't mean when you are close with a person it's gonna go that way, you know. So I think people also fear, same-sex people also fear to embrace each other. I think this definition of what a woman and a man is, like in this example of the male friend saying that they wouldn't sleep with their female friend because they respect them too much, like it says that when we approach each other as humans, we're already looking at our sex. It means we're not looking at each other as Nosana, Teds, Lindy way, you know. We're looking already the first thing that we are taught to see when we see each other is our sexuality or our sex. You know, we think of that way before we think of other things that could happen between you and a person. As you mentioned, Nosana, that you can work with people, you can have projects, you can do so many other things except that one thing, sex, you know. So now I think it is also hard for the same sex, I can say, women and men to love themselves within. And I think it also has formed some kind of homophobia inside of us, because even us, we are taught to think of our sex before other things, you know. We don't look into all the other things. We don't learn to love ourselves and appreciate ourselves. We learn that we need to look this way so that we are sexually appealing. We need to look this way so that to attract somebody, you know. We are taught beauty standards so that, you know, so we are taught to adjust certain ways that we naturally look so that we can look appealing, so that we attract somebody, not because it's an expression of how you inside feel, and this is how you express it from the outside, you know. So I think it has defining a human being through sexuality has caused us also to self-hate as human beings. I think that's what the actual, for me, I would define homophobia as hate of self, hate of human, because you hate you dislike yourself, or you want to change and fit into a certain thing, and now you reject all these things inside of you that are not according to that expression that you have been taught. So therefore you learn to suppress yourself and hate yourself from within, and it's homophobic. I think that's homophobic. Yeah.
Homophobia is hate of the self.
Hate of the self, yes.
We're going to be sharing, but this is like beautiful.
Okay, surprise.
No, it's beautiful. And I love how you keep referring to homosexuality and Homo sapiens, that we have incorrectly labeled the homo as same. Meantime, the homo is all human. Ne?
Yes.
And you want to reclaim homo for Homo sapiens, and discard homosexual as the term, because you want to reclaim that homo means human. It doesn't mean sex. And I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you with that, right?
Yeah.
So this conversation mustn't go on too long. I can see we love getting on with like the things that we're saying, but I think we're about halfway. But can we just speed it up in terms of like how we're getting through the responses here, guys?
Okay.
What role does pictures play in the mental and spiritual state of a human being? Do pictures play a role in the mental and spiritual state as a human being?
Yes.
How so? What do you mean?
I'd say the images that you are exposed to as a human being, whether they are in media or live as you just walking down the street, the images. I think if you are always in a dirty environment, for example, or an environment where you see people murdering each other and like that type of environment, it will affect how you your spiritual state and your mental state, you know. So I think pictures do play a huge role, because though it's what you identify or what you learn as what is normal or what is acceptable or what is okay, they teach you. I think when you see something happening, maybe right in front of your eyes, from that viewing, you can tell, okay, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is mama, what's up, you know. And so
it makes it true.
And it makes it true because it's happening, you know, you see it. And especially if it's repetitive sort of event, then you normalize that. You see, you now, I think your mental state puts it as a normal occurrence, or as a norm, something that is okay, that is, you know. So that really affects us as people, because that's how we term or identify with our environments, and that's how we also learn behaviors, or learn what can I say, reactions, you know. And we can also even look at these pictures and say, okay, but for me, this is what I want to change, this is what I want. But that's if you eventually become objective and you can look outside of your environment. If you are inside an environment that constantly gives you pictures that are traumatic, you know. But if you can get out of that environment, or look outside from that environment, and you are able to then learn, you know. But that's when you have learned to be even objective. But when you are within those pictures, because yourself, you're within a picture, you know, you are also part of the roles that are playing around there, you know. So then you can even determine your part in that, when you become an objective viewer of these pictures that are around you. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. And you've said it all, but I want to come to you, Tads, because basically what you've said, ne, is that pictures, they influence us and they help us to identify ourselves and translate reality and accept reality, and therefore and give us permission to do things based on what's available and visible around us.
Yes.
Therefore, acceptable, right?
Yes.
And also when you mentioned that we are in the pictures, so not only pictures that we see on TV and media, but in which we live, like our environment is our picture, ne?
Yes.
How normal that is, and how much is we accept that, you know, and how much that is repeated, that is going to affect our mental and spiritual state, right? And then you know that pictures are manufactured, and therefore influenced by how we should be. So what do you say? What do you want to say about that, Ted?
While I was studying language practice, we had this term that we called it frame of reference. Basically, frame of reference is what your mind can relate to, or basically the things that you've experienced that you can relate to. And that actually does affect your psychology, because when you, as a human being, if you like Lebu has said, for instance, if you've experienced consistent traumatic experiences, like if you've had traumatic experiences that are consistent, your brain automatically filters out the good and pleasant experiences that you might have at that time, and leaves the traumatic experiences, because that's what's normal to the brain. I guess also that's why is it that a lot of people experience multiple personality disorder from the age of 0 to 8, because at that time that's when your brain is developing. Then your brain creates this personality. Well, I've actually learned that from some documentaries that I've watched about people who have such a mental, I don't want to call it a disorder. Well, mental order. Well, basically, that's when your brain creates these personalities to protect you from this traumatic experience. And this traumatic experience is your frame of reference. So whenever the next thing that looks like it happens, you already know what to do or how to react. Be it a good reaction or a bad reaction. So I guess whatever we experience as human beings registers as a picture. So whenever that picture takes place, you react in a way that you would have the previous one, or in a better way that you would have the previous one. And I was actually, before this question was gotten into, I wanted to ask you, is it pictures in a sense of films, photography, and
all sense of pictures?
Artwork, or is it pictures as in what we register in our brains as humans?
All of them. All of them. All.
I guess.
Yeah, I think the inmates are trying to tell us that, I'm sorry, I'm going to let you continue, that we know that currently with gender-based violence, that it has been recorded that a person learns violence from a young age, and this is an automatic reaction based on what you are saying right now. And therefore, it's our responsibility as artists to impression new pictures and new solutions and new understandings and new reactions to harmful cycles that we know are problematic. That's my responsibility as an artist, that if I'm going to perhaps share a traumatic event on stage, and I'm going to say, I know this is the picture that you know. What I would like to share on top of that is a new reaction that you can become familiar with, that perhaps that you can incorporate in terms of your own reaction. I feel like that's what our duty is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was lovely when I was talking to you guys the other day when you were saying that we need to speak the future. We keep on seeing plays that are about the past, and we keep on going back to the past, but we are not allowing our audiences to see a future. So how are we going to create that? How are we going to change patterns, like harmful patterns? You know, I feel like this is our role. This is where we are supposed to impact and play, right? This is our job.
Okay.
Basically.
Yes.
We're supposed to imagine it, we're supposed to create it, we're supposed to do it.
Yes.
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 I agree.
You know what, ne? I would say pictures of the future already exist today. They already exist today, just like pictures of yesterday exist today, right? Just for an example, do you know that you are not gonna die tomorrow, right? You know that tomorrow at night you are gonna be sleeping in your bed, right? Right? Yeah. So you're not gonna die, but you can also imagine tomorrow. You can also imagine tomorrow, but you cannot imagine what is gonna happen to you tomorrow. But you know, because you know you're gonna sleep, then you can also guard your reactions so that you get to sleep again tomorrow, right? So I like that you actually spoke about new reactions, because I think that's what we need to focus on. But now even I even threw it in the play that I like as a person, a person can firmly say, a human being can firmly say that they know today what Homo naledi knew yesterday, because the truth is in us as Homo sapiens, because we have that insight as Homo sapiens. So now this is why, but I will go back to, this is why I don't like the word queer. But anyway, right? The truth is in us as Homo sapiens. So now when we limit words like homo to same, and we replace sapiens with sexuality, what we do is then we dumb ourselves down to the truth, because the truth is in us. Now we're going to seek for the truth outside, you see? But it is in us. It is in us. What is outside of us is the pictures, is the reality. The reality is outside of us. That's the pictures. But the truth is in us. So with the reality and the truth, we can poke at the future today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So now,
this is why I love you guys, man. And we have been at this for 2 hours. So I would like to, yeah, we started at 6 o'clock. And I'm not sure, yeah, you know, I'm not sure how long the recording is, but
Yeah.
Is heterosexuality natural, normal, accurate?
no, it is not.
It's none of the above. It's not natural, it's not normal, it's not accurate.
No.
Teeny,
Can I say?
please say something.
I believe it's not natural and it's not accurate, but unfortunately it is normal. Because we cannot disregard the fact that people have different sexuality, sexual identities, and sexual preferences outside homosexuality, only in the name of the fact that homosexuality is there, and it has been so validified to an extent that people believe that it is okay to nullify other people or other sexual orientations or other sexualities because of, in the name of homosexuality. It's the same as if you were to say, is Christianity natural? Then what is Buddhism? What are other religions? What is an Islamic religion? Is it natural? Is it not? Is it crazy? You know. So I don't think heterosexuality is natural. And I don't. What was the other part?
Accurate.
Not natural.
Yeah, you are so
Accurate.
advanced, you.
Accurate.
No.
Is it natural? Is it normal? Is it accurate?
Part of it.
Yeah.
Is it normal? Yes, it is normal, because that's what we are taught from.
I believe the word normal is an offensive word, quite frankly.
Yes.
I find the word normal.
Yes.
Because the only way something can be normal is when something else is abnormal, and I find that highly offensive.
Do you know what I understand of the word normal?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What I understand of the word is normal. I think it's more related to cultural activities, like it's a norm, like, so it's normal. Why? Because it's practiced by a lot of people. Hence I agree with Ted when she says yes, heterosexuality is normal, because a lot of people practice heterosexuality. Even in same-sex couples, there is the practice of heterosexuality there. I think heterosexuality is a culture that you can practice, because there are certain things
but we need to go away with the word normal. It can be common. That's the word.
It's common.
I'm not sure if you saw the video I sent to you guys.
Yes.
That's the word that they use. But something is common is often seen as the more common example. Things that should not be common. Things should not be normal or abnormal. Things should be common or uncommon. Because if something is common, it doesn't mean it's more right than something that's uncommon. It just means more people are used to it.
Yes. That's what I'm saying, that it's not right, it's not accurate, it's not the right
it's not natural
way.
It's like something
it's not
natural. Yeah,
but it's something that is encouraged to be practiced more than other kinds of sexuality, homosexuality, for example. Yeah.
Like my network is really giving.
Tat's network is giving her problems.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, listen, guys, let's go to the next question. What would you say is right, beautiful, and positive about people today? This is such a wonderful question because it's giving hope and it gives us a sense of that we are not lost, right? So you guys are asking, what would you say is right, beautiful, and positive about people today?
Yes.
What I would say is right, positive, and beautiful about people today is that I think in this generation we are seeing a lot of people breaking out of these normalized practices of the past that no longer works for us, and I think that's a very beautiful step as this generation, and I think that's the right thing to do, to explore, because we need to know more aspects about being a human being. We need to stop fearing ourselves. We need to stop fearing each other. We need to live and get to a time where we live in a safe environment where you can walk at night and literally there is no chance of you getting killed by another human being. Because the thing is, we fear other people. We don't fear that a lion can come and just eat you up, we fear people. So I think then we are on the way to that. We are on the way of not fearing ourselves and not fearing others, and where we can easily embrace each other as communities or as a society, where we can live in an environment that's really nurturing, as opposed to children growing up in traumatic situations. I think it may not be such a huge step or such a huge leap yet, but I think we're heading towards that. And I think that's what's beautiful about this generation today.
Yes. Firstly, you see, I personally feel like this conversation that we are having right now is very important. And it is happening because you, Nosana, and us, we just shared our resources to make this happen. And that is beautiful. Now, as people, we can get to that point, where we create spaces for important work to happen. That is beautiful, And again, we know that as people, especially now in South Africa, but it's in the rest of the world, but I'm just going to focus on South Africa. The majority of us, we are on mental illness medication treatments, and we also, it's not only that, it's also high blood pressures, heart disease. We have a lot. We are going through a lot right now. And recently we just experienced a hardcore lockdown. We just experienced that. And also things like scandals like Bobu Shiri and them, we also surfaced during that hardcore lockdown, you see? And it is beautiful to see that we survived it. It is beautiful because that means then when push comes to shove, we can rely on ourselves. That is beautiful. That is very beautiful. and it's very positive because it says whatever journey we want to take to achieve a certain thing, we can stick it through. We can.
For me, what I'd say is right, beautiful, positive about people today is this question, because our topic today is transphobia, homophobia, biphobia, and we are still looking for beauty. You know, I believe that it means, because hope is not a passive action. It's a very active action. You don't hope for something that you don't do. You know, you implement, you influence, and you participate in the positivity of whatever you're trying to do. So that's what I think is beautiful. As much as your question and the reason why we're having this conversation was because of the hate and the negativity, what's beautiful is that we are still positive about the role that we want to play in the fact that we know that there's negativity out there, because light, it moves much faster than darkness.
Yes. Yes.
If we are proactive and we believe in beauty and light and positive things, that is a very fast, people that know different things, and they know that people that work hard to sabotage and to do their things, they have to work very hard at that. But those are really trying to do powerful, beautiful, positive things. We just have to be there, and that little bit that we are doing, it will always move faster than anything negative that is being done against positive action. So I always appreciate that, right?
Yeah. That's very beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
So beautiful.
You know, I can easily say you just prophesied, but it's beautiful what you just said.
No, I've also got my teachers that, you know, every once in a while when we are not live, I also kind of go have long conversation. I'm like, oh, what is the way? You know, what is the way? You know? Okay.
Yeah, because we have to go forward.
You complete as a thing. What would you say? Okay, that's the one we just did. Is there, if there is something you would change about yourself, what is it? Why would you change it? Oh. I don't want to.
How about you go first this time?
Any experiences that you may know about me right now, because I believe it's my choice to say. So I do hope you will be careful around this conversation. Thank you. Carry on.
How about you go first?
The one again. No, I'm always changing things about myself, and I do so deliberately. And when I do so, I do so. And so when you see that happen, just see that happen. And that is how I can answer that question.
All right. Okay. All right. No, fine.
Alrighty then.
Accepted.
Thank you very much.
Yes. All right.
Are you gonna go?
Yeah. If there is something you would like to change about yourself today, what is it? I actually really and feel strongly about taking out my womb and ovaries.
Oh my word.
That's what I would like to change about myself today.
Oh my word.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Want to sponsor that?
You want to have you want to remove your womb and ovaries.
Yes.
And you want to place them where?
I actually have this crazy idea that I could make something with my womb to drink it or maybe season with that would make me look like, what would my kids look like? Maybe I would look like my firstborn and then look like my secondborn.
Wait. We're talking sci-fi right now. You want to remove your ovaries and you want to place them in an artificial sci-fi experience where you can digitally animate them. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
All right. So you're talking about the year 6000 or the year 3000. I don't know.
You know what? It's probably the year 6000. But hey, right now, today, I would like to remove them. You see, and that is just a crazy idea.
You know that if you remove them today, they're going to throw them away, right? You're not going to.
It's okay. Probably that's what's going to happen today, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Why don't you want them? You don't want to have your menstruation or what? What's your story?
Yes, I don't want both menstruation and making babies.
You don't want to be able to get pregnant and you don't want to menstruate. That's why you want to remove that entire internal reproductive system. That's what you
Yes.
No, I know what it's like when they're doing in there. I've also got the situation.
I'm sure there are people who want
We don't want to be born. We don't want to be born. I know that story.
maybe there's people who would want them. I mean, don't transgenders want
donate your ovary, but you're also donating your DNA and do you know that it turns out that I was in my grandmother's womb, according to the NA-ology. Yeah, they say something about that like I was in my grandmother's womb, my grandchildren are in my womb. I don't know. It's a whole thing which we didn't get the expert to get involved in the conversation. When we share this video on Facebook, people will influence the conversation, give us the right direction. Great. So that's what we change. What about you, Mluheng?
Are we talking only about body parts or because body parts I don't think I would want to change anything. Okay, maybe I don't know, my weight, not my weight per se, but you know, my fitness levels, my health, you know, I'd like to eat more healthy food, you know, not just eating because I have to eat, you know. I'd like to also teach my mind to learn to channel what's really important for my existence. What do I need to intake? What do I need to let go? You know, I think that's what I would change about myself, learning that process of being so focused on my internal being that I am so connected to whatever creator or what can I say, the universe, or maybe whatever exists out there. I would like to be on that level. That's what I would change. I would change this human type of thinking. I would change the way I limit myself as a human who, okay, I can only reach these certain levels with my thinking. That's what I would change. I would change the way being human is perceived. But yeah, I think that's where I'm trying to go with my life, where I can unlearn all these social constructs and relearn new things on my own and from my own view of what it feels like, or what it is, or what it's like, or what I think it's like, you know. Yeah, I'd like to change that, put my mind on a godly level all the time.
Have it your higher self,
being at my higher self. But you know, the bills and but you know, being human you have to work, you have to pay bills, you have to have a house. Those responsibilities kind of make it a lot of work to solely focus on what's always going on inside of you, because it's outside of you, it's material things, you know, and obviously when you die, you're not going to take them to wherever your soul is going to go. So for me, I just want to pack as much as I can here in this existence for my soul, you know. So I want to get as much as I can from this existence, and not just focus on what my physical needs are, you know. So I guess it's a matter of balance, but that's what I would change mostly when it comes to my life.
Yes, this was my struggle when I was in my 20s. I was like, how do I nurture my soul journey and my experience journey? You know, there was this term that suddenly got born later, which was adulting. How do I adapt and advance as a spiritual being at the same time?
Yeah.
And that's the balance that we struggle with, right? So, yeah, I love your answer that if you could change anything, it would be being able to advance as many ways as you can, you know.
Yeah, for my soul.
Yeah,
you know?
that's why there are all these like fairy tales, like touch a magic genie or 3 wishes.
Yeah.
These shortcuts to things, you know. All right, there's one more question, and then after that I've got my last question. I'm going to go one question for you guys.
Okay.
What kind of future would you advocate for in this current existence? This is your last question.
Wow, a very a very I don't know, a beautiful future, you know, a future where we are all mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically healthy, and a future where we accept ourselves as we are born, as we are, and a future where we can even know that, you know what, whichever where you go, it's a choice that you make, you know, but your choices have to be informed, you know. Kind of a future where there's no forcing yourself on other people, a future where we respect one another as people, a future where we acknowledge ourselves before we acknowledge other people, because it's important to acknowledge yourself first, then, because you won't go around wanting validation and acknowledgement from other people, because you already have it within yourself. So in that way, I think it would be even easier for us to work on sort of projects or things that really moves us to be, I can say, to be in sync as communities, because if we look at our communities today, it's really hard to actually bring people together and be on one goal, because it's a struggle, because a lot of people are going through so many things, and we think that we're going through these things alone, you know. And I don't say in this perfect future that I'm imagining that there won't be negatives or there won't be terrible, traumatic things, but I would wish that there would be very accessible recovery methods of all of those things that cause us the trauma, you know. A caring future where we actually really do search for what we are really passionate about in life, and do that and focus solely on that, so as to have this beautiful environment around us, you know. And it's a lot of work. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy task. So that's the kind of future I would advocate for, that, you know, a healthy, beautiful, yeah, health. I can just say I would advocate for a healthy future.
Absolutely, you know. And it's so sad that when we look at the health system, all we're dealing with is illness.
Within the health.
Like within health, like you don't look at health and think of health. There's only illness to deal with. So I really appreciate what you highlighted there. I'm a big fan of the both of you, Mohato, you duo, you talented twosome, you lovely couple.
Thank you.
I really treasure like the conversations that we have. So thank you so much for this conversation. And I hope it's giving some food for thought for people that think things are simple, you know, because I think we've painted a very gray area in a big rainbow spectrum of what we're dealing with today. So yeah, so thank you very much.
Your question.
My question. No, I think my question is well, let me not be apologetic, right?
Yes.
What does physical divine mean to you?
Okay, I don't. Should I? Do you wanna go first? Should I go first?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Go, Mama.
Okay. I am in love with the idea of reconciling the opposites. You know, I am in love with that because I think it is in that where we will realize that actually there are no opposites. I am in love with that. And you know what? And you see the body. And you know, I love that even God's self put this kind of an idea in a body. These are the kinds of ideas that make me appreciate a body. Because without a body, then how would I then come across such an idea? You see, and so that means even what I just said, it says physical divine, as I comprehend physical divine as that we are physically, that our existence is divine. Yeah.
Oh
yes. Oh yeah.
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 And I
have an answer.
I think if I would imagine what God is, you know, I don't think God would ever leave you, or you have, if my idea of God is that God can never leave you, you can never leave God, you're always within God, you know. So I can even say that yourself, you are God, you know. And when you think of yourself as a God, now think about that. Like it means that your existence is very, 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 very key, you know, because God lives inside of you. So you only just have to align yourself all the time with God, or your mind actually, because I think you are never out of God. I think actually everything is God, you know, everything is divine, you understand. It's just that I guess our minds can turn them otherwise, but even those negative things, they are godly too, you know. So I think as human beings, we are very godly beings, you know, and it's something that's very important to always highlight about yourself, that God is inside of you and never leaves, you know. So you are always with God. And how beautiful is that, you know? And how do you treat yourself as a God now? I think it takes us to that even. Okay, now that you're a God, what kind of a God are you? And what kind of energy does this God exude, you know? And I think if we were all bits and pieces of God, it just shows the variety of what God is. You know, even the stars, the moon, the space, everything, it reflects what God is. And when you look at those things and you think, oh, I am the same as that, what? It's pretty beautiful. It's I think it's something that we should always have in mind, that we are divine as human beings, you know. Yeah.
Oh yes. Thank you very much. Thanks for indulging that question. I don't ask that question, but I thought it was very special for this conversation, because this conversation was so esoteric, it was so philosophical, it was so human, it was artistic, it was so multi-dimensional that I thought, like, you know what, this is exactly the combination of things that are physical, which are divine. And both know I don't often define it myself, but I always appreciate it when other people do.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I hope people get through this entire interview, but it really was so important. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys both. Thank you so very much.
It was a pleasure
talking
to you.
It was so beautiful talking to you, Nosana.